Good morning, everyone. It is a little bit before 8 a.m. on Monday. This is December the 20th, and I know that because it is my 8th wedding anniversary with my husband. Um, I know you don't care about my whole entire life, but I'll just go ahead and tell you we're a blended family. We got together um, in 2009 and blended our families. He had two teenagers at the time, and I had two little tiny ones, hadn't even started school yet. And now they're all either grown or teenagers, and we've got grandchildren. So we are celebrating our anniversary today by doing a little Christmas shopping, and so I need to finish these reviews and get them posted so that I can get ready. So anyway, I think this is a mistake. This should say chapter 20 and 21. I'm sorry. I'll fix it. Okay, so this should say 1 and this should say 20. I'm going to start with chapter 20, which is the lymphatic system. And all I'm going to do is like I did with chapters 17, 18, and 19. I'm just going to scroll through the slides, and when I see information that, since I'm the one that made out the exam, when I see information that I think you would probably need to know, I'll just pause and talk about it a little bit. The lymphatic system and the immune system often, they just go hand in hand, but the lymphatic system focuses more on there actually are lymphatic vessels, like there are blood vessels, but they're a little bit different. I actually did not ask a lot of questions about the vessels of the lymphatic system. I asked more about the lymphatic organs, but it does tell you here that the lymphatic system returns fluids leaked from blood vessels back to the blood, and it consists of three parts: the lymphatic vessels, the lymph, which is the fluid in the vessels, just like blood is the fluid inside blood vessels, and lymph nodes, as well as there are organs and tissues like, I'm sorry, like the spleen, the thymus, the tonsils, just lymph nodes collections like that you have in your armpits and your neck, up around your ears, like if you're getting close to your ears, that part of your neck that the doctor will feel whenever you're sick to see if they're swollen. And then other lymphoid tissues like MALT, M-A-L-T. If you've studied this chapter at all, you've seen that term. MALT, M-A-L-T, is mucosa-associated lymphoid tissues. And one example of MALT is the Peyer's patches that are found in the intestines. So again, I didn't ask a lot about the lymphatic vessels, so we're just going to look at some pictures. A lymphatic vessel has an end. This is what I wanted to show you. The vessels can be very long, just like blood vessels, but they don't return back to a structure like the heart. They just end. They just have an ending. So this is a lymphatic capillary that has an ending. It doesn't connect to anything else. What will happen is you have three really types of fluid, maybe four. You have the fluid in your blood, which is plasma. You have tissue fluid or interstitial fluid. Sometimes we call that extracellular fluid. Then you have the fluid inside of your cells, which is called cytosol. And then you have the lymphatic fluid, which is inside the lymphatic vessels. And fluid moves from blood vessels into lymphatic vessels and across between the lymphatic vessels and the blood vessels, there would be your interstitial fluid. So fluid and other solutes and chemicals move between those vessels. Okay? So since I didn't ask a lot about the vessels of the lymphatic system, I'm not going to do a lot with it, but I am going to tell you, this is slide number 15. Slide number 15. No, slide number 15. I'm giving you a big hint. You should know slide number 15 from the lymphatic system notes. And I will go over with you, these are just connections to the internal jugular veins. You know, the jugular veins go up your neck, but it's just showing you this little area right here. Your internal jugular veins, you have them on the left and the right, and your lymph nodes that empty into them. So lymph nodes actually drain into veins. And this is the entrance of the right lymphatic duct into your jugular veins. And these are cervical lymph nodes. These are the lymph nodes in your neck that will swell up when you're sick with a cold. The axillary lymph nodes are the lymph nodes under your armpits, the collection of lymph nodes that will often swell up when you have an infection. Over here on the, so this would be the left side of the page, so this is the right side of the body. Over on the left side of the body would be where the thoracic duct enters into the jugular vein. And the thoracic duct actually comes all the way down. Here's another portion of the thoracic duct. It sort of goes behind the aorta there and behind the trachea. The lymphatic vessel, or the lymph nodes in your inguinal region or your groin region are called the inguinal nodes, and they will swell when you are sick. So make sure that you know this figure by heart. Okay, I am going to move on now, but that is one that you need to know. There is I remember seeing this term in a question that I put on the midterm exam. Lymphangitis. Lymphangitis is a condition in which the lymphatic vessels appear as painful red lines under the skin. When I was a little girl, the term for that was when you had red streaks, it was called blood poisoning. And it's really lymphangitis. But anyway, it's caused by inflammation of larger lymphatic vessels. And those vessels contain vasora, which become congested with blood, and that they just call that blood poisoning. You can have that happen if you've gotten an infection somehow. I think when I was a little girl, I maybe cut my leg or something like that, and then a few days later, I had red streaks running up my lower legs. And my mother called it blood poisoning. We did have to go to the doctor, and we did have to get some antibiotics. But what it really was lymphangitis. Okay. Lymphedema is swelling, and anything that like what the doctor is doing when they're checking your lymph nodes, your cervical lymph nodes in your neck, and the lymph nodes in your armpits, the axillary lymph nodes, and maybe even sometimes the inguinal lymph nodes. They're checking for swelling because sometimes that can indicate some other condition. It may indicate just an infection like a I don't know, strep throat, just some kind of infection. But sometimes it can indicate tumors. But something is causing your tissues to swell, and the interstitial fluid is not entering the lymph and returning to the blood. Okay, so we are going to talk more about lymphocytes in the immune system chapter, but we already went over blood. So the lymphocytes are just one type of white blood cell, but they are the immune system cells. These are the cells that react when your body has become immune, or when your body is becoming immune to a certain specific pathogen. So the two main types of lymphocytes are T cells and B cells, or you can also call them T lymphocytes and B lymphocytes. And the reason the T and the B come from the fact that the T lymphocytes mature in the thymus and the B lymphocytes mature in the bone marrow. But they are white blood cells, so they are all produced in the bone marrow to begin with. Again, this is something that let's skip this because we're going to talk more about this in the immune system. Okay. This just shows you a picture of your lymphoid organs, and that would be red bone marrow, which is found in the ends of the long bones where your spongy bone tissue is. And here's your thymus, which is larger in a child than it is an adult. Here's your spleen, which is actually kind of underneath your stomach. Your tonsils. These would be your, back in your nose would be your adenoids. Let's see, Peyer's patches. Remember I told you there were Peyer's patches in your intestines, and then your appendix, which is connected to the cecum of your large intestines, the beginning of your large intestines. Then there's a section on lymph nodes. Here's your picture again. Make sure you know it. This is slide number 30. So slide 15 and slide number 30. Definitely important. All lymph nodes contain a cortex and a medulla. So do a lot of organs. The cortex just means the outside. The medulla means the inside. And I also didn't ask a lot of questions about that. Like, you don't have to know this figure by heart, but the cortex is just the outside portion. Like, this would be the beginning of the medulla, would be here. And it's the same way in your kidney. So the medulla is this inside portion of your lymph nodes, and then the outside portions are called the cortex, okay? They just contain different structures, different types of white blood cells, and they filter lymph for pathogens and things like that. It seemed like there was something. Buboes is a funny name. Buboes are sometimes referred to as swollen glands, and what they are, this is specifically when the lymph nodes in your neck and your armpits are swollen. We call them buboes. They are inflamed, swollen, tender lymph nodes that result when nodes are overwhelmed by what they are trying to destroy. So you have some kind of infection, and the lymph nodes are trying to clear that infection. When that lymphatic fluid runs through the lymph nodes, and the lymph nodes filter that lymphatic fluid, they're trying to clear that infection, but they're just being overwhelmed. So those areas get larger and sore and inflamed, and they are called buboes. And so sometimes they're filled with pus. The bubonic plague was named after the chief clinical feature of this disease because that was causing buboes in the areas of lymph nodes, in the cervical lymph nodes and the axillary and the inguinal. Okay, the spleen I do ask some questions about. Okay, the spleen filters the blood, but it filters the blood not like the kidneys. The kidneys filter the blood to remove waste. The spleen filters the blood to remove old and damaged blood cells, to recycle red blood cells, and also to remove pathogens. That's a picture of the spleen, and a picture of a real spleen. And I didn't go into a lot of detail about the white and the red pulp. I did talk about splenectomies, but I think I need to do another review because my time's about to run out.